We're taking you behind the big scene that kicks off the action in Netflix's The Old Guard. It not only exposes the true nature of Charlize Theron's Andy and her group of immortal mercenaries, but it also delivers a kick-ass fight scene. Now, if you haven't seen the movie yet, beware of spoilers, because we're going to break down how this exciting, inciting action scene was translated from comic to screen with a little help from the Old Guard comic co-creator and screenplay writer, Greg Rucka. He is going to share how the scene reveals what makes the group so special, the secrets of their unbelievable fighting ability, and the real-life story behind Andy's signature weapon. The first image of the movie shows Andy and her 3 teammates riddled with bullets and, dead on the ground. It's a pretty grim start, but Rucka explains that was necessary to illustrate how these warriors have the Wolverine-esque powers of not dying and regeneration.
The comic itself begins with Andy's narration and a sequence of memories of her deaths over roughly, I think in the comic, we only hit about 2,000 years worth of them, right? But by page 3 of the comic, you know something's up with this woman, and apparently she's either lived multiple lives or it's the same one. The movie starts with a jump ahead to the moment after they've been ambushed. And it just seemed like a really good way to light the feuds on the movie. I mean, it was just a really, I thought, deft decision on Gina's part.
As for how the team of immortals found themselves in that predicament, they took on a mission to rescue a group of innocents who had been kidnapped. Saving them seemed like the right thing to do, but when the team showed up, they sprung a trap. Rucka says they called this scene the killing room floor because, well... Motherfucker. But it's going to take more than that to keep these folks down. Now, even though the immortal members of the Old Guard can heal, the film emphasizes that it's not as fun as it looks.
The story is contingent entirely on what happens in this sequence. So the sequence has to lay out not only, they don't die. It also has to lay out the character beats in between the individuals, as well as the fact that the nature of the immortality isn't sweet. They died painfully. It is messy and gross and unpleasant. And then the sort of cherry on top is, and this is why you don't attack them. Because there are 4 of them and there are 20 of you and you don't stand a chance.
That's for sure, because what happens next is the group heals up, stands up, and then f***s up everyone in that room. And their unbelievable combat prowess is one of the most important and essential elements that Rucka wanted to capture from the comic he created with artist Leandro Fernandez.
It isn't simply the immortality that makes them special. It's the fact that between them on the killing room floor, there's almost 8,000 to 9,000 years of combat experience between them. And that the world has never, ever seen and lived to tell the tale, people with that level of integration and teamwork and skill. And it's actually something that I think is conveyed better in the movie than it is in the comic. They take the hits because they got bushwhacked, and then once they're up, it's over. It literally is over. It's 4 of them against 16, 20 guys, and they're gone. They don't stand a chance.
Another element that makes the Old Guard unique is how Andy and her team not only use modern firearms, but they also wield old-school bladed weapons from their original time many, many years ago.
It always felt to me that, certainly for Andy and Nikki in time, not just in their natural lifetimes, but once they became immortal, utilizing the weapons that they had first learned to use, as for instance, had about 5,000 years on the axe before anybody said, this is what we call a flintlock pistol.
And speaking of Andy's signature circular axe, Rucka shared its unique origins.
Andy's go-to weapon is always going to be this battle axe that's called a labris, and the labris is commonly referred to as the double-headed axe of the Amazons. When Leo came time to design it, he wanted something that was, quote unquote, the modern tactical version of that weapon. And he came up with that design. And obviously it's the most iconic thing we've got in this. That was all Leo.
So as you can imagine, the last thing a person would want to do is provoke this warrior into having to bust out her favorite axe and put thousands of years of experience using it to work on your head. But that's precisely what the bad guys do in this scene.
So when Andy starts rocking the labris on the killing room floor, it is a lethal weapon in the hands of a woman who knows every possible way to use it. She is done with it now.
We hope you enjoyed this breakdown of this action scene in Netflix's
Comic-Con, and this year it's on IGN. Starting July 22nd, IGN is giving you a front row seat to the geekiest celebrity panels.
I love this show!
Catch all 5 days of Comic-Con at home on IGN and IGN One on Samsung TV Plus.